Now, in terms of community mobilization and social determinants, I'll not say much more. But obviously, when we're talking about primary health care, we cannot only talk about rural primary health care. We now have to talk about urban primary health care as well. We have naively assumed that just because there are more doctors around in urban areas, that urban primary health care would be automatically taken care of. It is the most anarchic system that exists. If you just look at the example of H1N1, what happened in Delhi? There was panic. Patients were asked to go to RML Hospital and Safdarjung Hospital. They went there in large numbers for diagnostic testing, for evaluation and possible admission. The numbers became uncontrollable and they had to be lathi charged, patients being lathi charged. Now, if you had an urban primary healthcare system in which there were community health centers, maybe nurse-run, physician-supervised, where that was the first port of call, at least 70% of these people could have been screened, reassured, counseled, and sent back. Another 20 or 30% may have been advised diagnostic tests, but at least very few would have actually rushed for admission. The pitfalls of not having an urban primary health care are very clear, that even tertiary care hospitals get overloaded and even patients get unnecessarily subjected to unnecessary diagnostic and treatment procedures. So we need urban health care. Remember, we are also passing through a health transition where chronic diseases are on the rise. Cardiovascular diseases are no longer problems only of the rich. We have definite data to show now that in most urban areas, the poor are much more vulnerable to cardiovascular diseases, and even diabetes is becoming manifested 10% prevalence to 12% prevalence in urban slums. So poor are going to need treatment. They're going to need treatment in urban areas. Some tertiary care is going to be required as well. So our universal health coverage scheme has to take into account all of these. Therefore, our package of services has to extend into all areas of potential vulnerability, while at the same time ensuring that primary care is most protected. Because if you focus on primary care and invest in selective areas of secondary care, most of the burden on tertiary care can be avoided, and most of the problem, even referral to secondary care, can be avoided. And I think we have unnecessarily inverted the pyramid and focused too much on the tertiary care. In fact, now through these insurance schemes, states like Delhi, Tamil Nadu, Kerala, and Andhra, they are spending more than half of their money on tertiary care. 55% of their health budget is going into tertiary care. And these insurance schemes also means that the budget, instead of going to strengthen public services, is actually being handed over to private providers with doubtful returns. So the money has to be now rechanneled into definite provision of services with defined packages, with defined costs attached, but also into strengthening of the public infrastructure. Public infrastructure may not be overnight developed all across the country to meet all the needs. So we have to take the private sector along, but in a regulated manner on terms set by the public sector in a societally responsible manner. And that is the challenge that we need to really look at. There are multiple challenges. It's not going to be easy because, interestingly, even the private sector now wants universal health coverage. We have received several representations from the private sector which said, we want universal health coverage. We believe in the right to health. So I was quite surprised. Then it became evident that they're interpreting it in the context of schemes like the insurance schemes in Andhra and elsewhere, RSBY, because they say that the government should spend because health is a right, but since the public sector cannot provide efficiently, we will provide. Now, and in a continued unregulated environment. So while we are happy that there is consensus on universal health care, we ought to be wary of the potential conflicts of interest that are coming in and how the whole universal health coverage vehicle, which road it will get diverted into. So therefore we need a public debate. We need many more stakeholders to join this debate. We need the civil society to get very active. We need the trade unions to be mobilized. We need the vocal middle class to get exercised on matters like these rather than just on some of the other trivia that often happen. So we need the media particularly to support this debate, because unless the debate takes place, the ideal of a universal health coverage may get corrupted in the process. And therefore we definitely need vigilance. We need a strong coalition to argue the case. And I would finally remind you that this is not an overnight event. It is going to be a continued struggle, because we should be happy if we actually gain even partial gains, but then continue to ask for more. As Martin Luther King said, change does not roll in on the wheels of inevitability. It requires continued struggle. Thank you.